Hello. This is quite fun actually because it feels like we're presenting this to a room of loads of people we know. So this is going to be hopefully super easy. It probably gives you license to heckle, but please don't. Today we're here to talk to you about our journey over the last 4 years in building out, not necessarily the test automation software that we have, but more specifically the lab. I've been saying to people, I'm mostly here for fluff because it's really Martin's journey, and me, like, you know, supporting and then, you know, just kind of enabling. So I'm Matthew Duhig. I'm the managing director of FX Digital. I'll come on to who we are in a second. But my role at the business is to basically empower the team, assign budgets, as Martin will tell you, but also support our clients in their journeys and, you know, helping them to discover what connected TV is and how they should be distributing their content through it, basically. And then Martin?
My name is Martin Tyler. I'm the head of the quality engineering team at FX Digital. So I've been involved in test automation really for my whole career, starting off in automotive, then moving on to aviation and finally connected TV. I think everyone thinks about that experience and goes, oh, the other two sounded really, really impressive, but actually connected TV is way harder to automate. Like, the devices are super locked down, and just getting the information off of them in the first place is really hard. So yeah, connected TV is the difficult one.
Nice. Cool. So yeah, who are we? So I think a lot of you actually know who we are already. So yeah, I'll just give us a quick summary. We're a connected TV specialist based here in London, over in Old Street. The team's actually about 70 people now, probably just a little bit more in the last couple of weeks, based in also Barcelona, so we have a small office out there too. And really we offer support to our clients as an agency. We don't have a product that we sell per se, we're an agency, so we deliver like bespoke services to our customers, all related to connected TV. And those services really span strategy, project management, product design, engineering, and what we'll talk about today mostly is quality assurance and quality engineering. We work with a number of different clients across the industry in the sports sector, people like ATP Media and Duhig as well. And then in the media sector, we work for parts of BBC like S4C, and have had loads of involvement in building out Discovery over the years. So yeah, lots of different stuff in media and connected TV. So, again, I probably don't need to show you this slide, everyone, because, you know, you're all here, so you get a sense for this already. But this is, I would say, probably about 50% of what we actually deal with. We updated this yesterday, but we didn't add any of the newer platforms that have since been released. There are so many more platforms than what we're showing on here. But what I'm trying to get across to you all is the fragmentation of connected TV, which you know you already know about. But it's not just fragmentation in terms of the device vendors and operating systems like Samsung Tizen or Sky Q. It's fragmentation in the different models of those televisions as well. So if you look at Samsung Tizen there in the middle, the reason we're highlighting and showing every year of television around that is because every year of television has a different kind of variation of the Tizen operating system and the hardware that runs it. That ultimately means that in order to ensure that the applications that we're building are running effectively and as we expect on these devices, we have to manually test on every single, you know, model year of a Tizen TV, right, to be entirely sure. And that really means that the task of, you know, testing this stuff is monumental. It really is quite large. And as an agency, historically, we've done all that manually. And today, we're going to talk about our journey towards introducing automation into that. So what do our customers expect of us as a team that build out applications for connected TV? They want more platforms supported in a faster time. Ultimately, if you're on more platforms, you've got larger reach. I would say when it comes to building CTV applications, our clients want kind of a basic set of features and functionality that exists in the app. And then once they've got that, it's all about device launches. They want to be on as many devices as possible because that gives them more reach and ultimately more eyeballs. Those audiences have high expectations. So, you know, they're used to using applications like Netflix. They expect that when they load the application up on any of those devices, it's going to work effectively, it's going to be stable, and it's going to be highly available. So I think we had an instance with Duhig, one of our customers last year, where we launched on 3 or 4 platforms initially, and then the roadmap for their future launches was basically dictated by their audience, submitting, requesting, going, oh, why aren't you on Amazon? Why aren't you on here? Why aren't you on there? The audiences now expect your applications to be available wherever they are. Of course, our clients don't have infinite budgets, unfortunately, as you guys are well aware. And in order to test across all these different devices, if you were just scaling up by manual QA alone, you'd have to keep adding more and more people to a project. There are many other reasons why we can't just do that. We can't, just have a huge space with hundreds and hundreds of QAs testing for single client applications. And instead, obviously, we look to automation to be that element that bridges the gap between what we can, conceivably manually test and, the rest, which is what we can automation test. And I think most importantly is our clients expect some degree of parity across all the devices that they launch the application on. So really, if you've got a Samsung and an LG and the app does one thing on this particular Samsung, they're expecting it to do the same stuff on an LG. And that might be things like, if it's got multiple audio on Samsung or subtitles on Samsung in the video player, they want the same experience on the LG. So yeah, really hard to test all this stuff in a fragmented space across all these different devices. It's pretty monumental. So we hired Martin about 4 years ago as a senior QA. Luckily, I knew Martin before that, so we already knew what he was capable of, and he came in as a senior QA, and on day one was already kind of looking at what we were doing and going, there's potential for automation here. The image here is actually a more recent image, but we want to take you back to 4 years ago when you joined and first come to me and said, have you thought about automation? And then started showing me some stuff, and I gave you, the measly budget of around £2,000 to start building out what was an automation lab. Didn't throw it. Yeah.
Thanks, Matt. So yeah, this is a far less impressive picture of where we were 4 years ago. So yeah, like Matt said, he gave me £2,000, and we set about building an automation framework. We decided we were going to use just like some open source technologies for that, just get something up and running and prove the theory of automation, really. You can see in this picture here, there's an Apple TV device. That was for GCN, which is a global cycling network. That was an app that we built for the Discovery Channel, and that was the first app that we really used automation testing to develop. We used WebDriver IO to build that framework, and it proved the theory, right? We built a really amazing application. We didn't need a huge QA team. But WebDriver IO is really designed for web and mobile, and you can kind of see from Matt's introductions there, that's not what FX is all about. We are connected TV first, and we wanted a framework that really worked kind of like the same way as we did. Then you can see here the Samsung device there. That was when we first built our own WebDriver for that, and I'll come into what a WebDriver is in a moment. But yeah, this gives you a little glimpse as to where it all started, really. And then, yeah, like I said, we'd proven the theory of WebDriver IO, and then we wanted to build our own framework from the ground up, designed for connected TV first. And I know this talk is more about the lab and everything, but I think it's really useful for you to understand the architecture of what we've built, so you can understand what that lab's all about. So at the heart of everything we do is our runner, right? That's what actually takes the automated test cases that the quality assurance team are creating and actually executes them, right? And that relies on a number of different microservices. So first of all, our image comparison service. So I think it's also good to explain, because our dev team, they use lots of different open source technologies and to build these frameworks. They're using React, they're using Lightning.js. So it was really important for us that we had a generic framework that could work across all of these different technologies. And sometimes they're using different technologies on the same project, right? And we want to be able to use the same test cases across all of those. So we decided to go down the route of building a vision-based test automation framework. And our image comparison service, that was the first thing we built. And that takes a screenshot of the application and a screenshot of the image, which can be from the designs, or it can be from the actual app that's been created. And it can tell you lots of things about that. It can tell you whether that element is on that page. It can tell you the location of that, the size of that. It checks all the colors and stuff. So it's quite a powerful microservice, and really the whole of our automation technologies is built around that. Then we've got the Rave service. That's our real-time audio-video evaluator. Obviously, it's a really fundamental part of an application, right, that audio and videos play, and a connected TV application needs to play that audio and video. and that's what we use our Rave service to check. And then the analytics service as well. Now, our analytics service is taking information about the framework, so we can consistently improve that as well, but also it's taking information about, it's saving information about the application under test as well. And then we've got our web drivers. I mentioned that earlier in that picture you saw. The web driver is really the connection between the device and our automation framework. So it's doing various things like capturing the images for the framework. It's controlling it, so acting as a remote control. And it's also controls the smart plugs attached to that device as well. Sometimes those devices need power cycling. Don't forget these devices are, consumer electronics. They're not really designed to be left on all the time and run many thousands of tests like we do now. And then last but by no means least, our project repo. This is what our quality assurance team actually use to create the test cases. They write all the test cases in Gherkin, so it's like a human readable language that is quite quick to put those tests together. We have many generic test steps, so they can quickly build up that test automation. But of course, the applications, as you all know, they're not generic. They've got lots of differences, and for that we use our custom steps. So the QA team, assisted by the quality engineering team as well, they can write these custom steps to automate features that are a bit more niche, a bit more unique to that application. We've got our reference images, which, as I said to you earlier, is used by the image comparison service to actually check on those elements. And finally, the configuration files for our CI/CD pipeline. So that's what is actually running all those automated tests. And yeah, so as you can imagine, after we got this proof of concept up and running, we really started to see the demand for our lab increase, and space is at a premium, right? We're located in London, in Old Street, and even if you're in a cheaper area, not central London, you don't want huge labs with cameras very far in front of them. So we designed our technology in such a way that you can take screenshots directly from the TVs, and that has various advantages because you're getting the image exactly as that's actually displayed on the device, right, with the exact colors, the exact location. We also have some cameras that we use, and they have a fisheye lens, so they can be very close to the TV. I'll go into that a little bit more later as well. And then that took us to our second lab. You can see here how closely we can have the TVs together, and we can really pack the devices in. You can see all our set-top boxes across the other side. That was really the first lab that we built, and we learned a lot of things along the way with that lab. First of all, cable management, right? When you start to put all of these devices in, you really start to get a lot of cables, and things start to get quite unneat quite quickly. So what we did is we ran this conduit here across, and we could run all of our Ethernet cables through there. And we could have the power at the back, so separating out the Ethernet and the power to increase the chances that you're not going to get any interference on those cables as well. I think that's a bit of a theme that you're going to find throughout this is we're really trying to push the resilience of our lab, so we can run these tests as effectively and as quickly as possible. Then, of course, the other thing the problem that you've got when you start to put a lot of devices in the lab is the power, the sockets. It felt right at one point, Matt, like I was coming to you every couple of weeks and asking for an electrician to come in again, right? So, which is kind of expensive, but we kept having to put sockets in there. And then we found these massive, you can see these in the picture there, we found these massive 12 socket extension leads. So that helped alleviate things. And what we were worried about though then was maybe we were drawing a bit too much power. So we've got these smart plugs that we can monitor the amount of power that we're drawing. So we're making sure we're not overloading anything. Obviously we want to do this in a safe way as possible. Actually, you'd be surprised. They don't actually draw as much power as you'd expect. The other thing with these smart sockets is, as I mentioned earlier, with the web drivers, we can power cycle the devices, right? So we're always making sure that these devices are in the best possible state when we're running the automation on them. And rather predictably, once you start plugging in all these devices and running all these devices, you start to run into heat issues. So our lab is cooled down to 18 degrees, and we do that because that's what is recommended for like a data center. So we want to look after these devices. Remember, some of them are like Matt mentioned earlier, some of them are 2016 or even before. So we really need to look after these electronics, kind of rare and difficult to get as well, right, Matt? So
I wouldn't be happy if they broke and we can...
No, exactly. So they're not necessarily easy to replace. So we cool everything down to 18 degrees, but even that wasn't enough, right? So if you put your hand underneath the rack, it would still be quite warm. And it wasn't until we started adding these fans along all of the racking that we do now to try and move that air around and really cool things down. And yeah, that really helped out, and definitely something you're going to need to do if you want to build a similar lab.
Yeah, so I'd basically seen Martin and his team at the time, which was I think two people, take what was when we moved in, because we inherited an office, and it was the room we'd given him was called the meditation room. So I don't know what the previous company before us did, but that was back there, and it was kind of a storing cupboard at the time. You'd been given the budget, you'd cleared it out, and made way for what you've just seen there, which was the automation lab. And all of our internal projects that we were running at the time started using this lab quite successfully. And here's some statistics that you can see from that lab itself, 25 total devices in there. We were starting to really save QA time, which was great. And we were finding that we could deliver on more devices for our customers without having to significantly increase the QA team size, which was awesome. Because of the great setup between our QA and QE teams and how they could work in a symbiotic fashion, we were getting high levels of automation coverage as well, which is awesome. And then the numbers we were posting in terms of test cases run across different devices for our different clients per month was growing. So really I was at this point where it kind of made sense to take a bit of a gamble and invest more in what Martin was doing. Around this time, the lease for our office was coming up, and my initial strategy was, we love this office, but we don't want to get shafted by the landlord increasing the rent. What I'll do is I'll go out to market and kind of like pretend we're looking around. And whilst I was doing this and talking to Martin, I convinced myself that we needed more space, vicariously through Martin. And then that kind of pseudo search for a new office became a real search for a new office. And as we were looking around for new space, we stumbled across a space which conveniently was next door to us with the same landlord. And we went in, and it was a really cool big open space. And as soon as you walk in, there's a big glass room right there with some partitions from that room to the next, and then some other partitions. And we kind of looked in there and went, that would be cool if we could have a space where people can come in and the first thing they see is the team and also this amazing device lab. And I think if you go to the next slide, Martin, this is a picture of it today being taken through that window. But I think we'll carry on and go back a bit, and then you tell more about the move and the kind of what pressure that put on you guys.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, I mean the first thing I remember when all this happened and it all kicked off, and we were like, right, we've got to move labs. How long is it going to take you to install a lab? Well, we'd kind of like built it up bit by bit, and that was a really difficult question to answer. I think me and you had a conversation, right, Matt, where I was like, maybe we could have a bit of a layover where we have both offices for a while.
Yeah, of course, which I wanted to prevent because that would mean paying for two offices at once.
Yeah, I remember that conversation, and then you explained to me that how much that cost and why that wasn't an option. So yeah, the budgets weren't unlimited, unfortunately. But yeah, I remember walking around this lab, the office for the first time, and Matt was like, oh, we found this cool space and want you to come and have a look and think about it. And what the landlord had done is they wanted to make it like a more saleable. So most companies, right, they want lots of meeting rooms, right? That's what they want. So they'd taken this really big meeting room and they'd split it up into portions. I think they'd only just got those walls up. Yeah. The first thing we did was like, right, knock those walls back down. we want a big room again. So you can see here in the picture, this is when they'd knocked it all down and they got the painters and decorators in. Fortunately, the landlord, wasn't that impressed that we wanted it knocked back down. Let us do that. And then, we kind of took all of those learnings, right, all of those, and we put those together to set up our new lab. We bought a load of new racking, did all of the networking over the course of a couple of weeks, and yeah, shout out to my team here because they worked super hard to get all this done, and we did manage to move it across in 2 weeks, I think.
I think it was a bit less than that.
Yeah. So yeah, which was really great. So yeah, we've learned a lot about actually, building up a lab. But obviously, there was lots of things that from our previous lab that we weren't quite that happy with. The first one, and it's a bit of a recurring conversation in our lives at the moment, I think, Matt, right, about heat. And we had, aircon isn't necessarily designed to be left on all of the time, and we have to leave it on 24 hours a day. Our old lab, actually, that's something else that I didn't mention. Our old lab was south facing, so it was basically like a greenhouse in the summer, right? You've got all this sun coming through. So when we were looking for a lab, one of the things I was like, I don't want a south-facing lab, which was a bit of a difficult one. I guess the estate agents hadn't had that much before. But yeah, because we knew that aircon fails, right? It doesn't stay on isn't reliable all the time. We bought these backup aircon units with this really fancy Ethernet switch that automatically switches the aircon on in the case of the main one fails. So we're now out of that situation where we have to rely on just one unit. And that brings me on to the next thing, really. We have to continuously monitor our labs. It's not like go home at 5 o'clock and you don't have to worry about it anymore, because we're writing test cases during the day, so we're using the labs during the day, but then at night the automation's actually running, so it really is like a 24-hour day in use asset. And we have to monitor it because of that. So we've got these apps on our phones. We've got a group of people that are constantly on call. I think you're in that group as well, right, Matt? So
I live quite close to the office, so I'm the lucky one that gets to go if there's an issue.
True.
Not that there has been an issue. So.
Yeah. So yeah, we're constantly monitoring it. We're monitoring it as well for flooding as well. There's water pipes running in to the air conditioner. So we're constantly monitoring it, and we've got people that can go to the lab, as Matt mentioned, if necessary. And we have to monitor our pipelines as well, right? Remember, like I said earlier, these are consumer-grade devices. They're not like servers that are designed to be run 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So we're constantly monitoring our pipelines. And we have a Slack bot that if anything fails, you can see here, this is like a message that we get through to our channels in the morning. And we have a dedicated team of people that look at these and go okay, what was the problem? How can we rectify that? But also keeping a log of all the problems that we've had, and making sure that we're constantly improving, constantly getting better. So I don't think we'll ever be at the state where we can say it's 100% up all the time, but we're pretty close. And considering the type of devices we're running on, I think that's really, really impressive and a real credit to the team. You can see here that the emojis that we put on, and then we pull that all down to see whether that was a genuine fail, and that's how we're monitoring and making sure that we're getting better all the time. And then we're really pushing the boat of how we can get things better and better now. And this is one of our latest purchases. So this is a 3D printer allowing us to actually design mounts and different things for the lab. So yeah, really pushing the boundaries of what we can achieve and how much better we can make our lab. That's actually one of our camera mounts being printed out there. So I'll talk a bit about that in a moment. But yeah, some of the things that we've been trying to improve with, and just so you can see how much into detail we're going into making the lab better. You can see here, this is an IR blaster. So most of the time we're trying to integrate with the APIs, right? So we're trying to, we don't have to have extra hardware and things that can potentially fail. But with some set-top boxes, that's just not, that they don't have an API that you can use. So we have to use infrared blasters. And the problem with these ones is they get knocked over when someone's changing things in the lab. Obviously, the more devices you put in the lab, right, the more movement you get in there. We had issues where they were getting knocked over. So one of the first things we designed in-house and printed was this custom bracket to actually hold up the IR blaster, and then that solves that problem, right? So this is just a little example, really, of some of the things that we're trying to, consistently improve and make better and better. And then our camera system. So our camera system we use for various things, video player testing. We use time to minimum usability. So we've developed an algorithm that is able to look at an app, work out when it's fully stops loading, and measure the time to minimum usability. Also page load times. The really cool thing about that is we don't need any modifications to the application, right? We're just using the generic application straight from production or pre-prod, wherever, but it's exactly what the client's seeing. We're not modifying that. once you start modifying the application, you run the risk of, like, you know, changing the results, maybe changing exactly you know, what the customer's going to see. We want to measure what the customer's going to see. And we've got these camera systems with fisheye lenses, so they can be quite close up to the TV. And this was our first kind of iteration as to how we were mounting it. As you can see, it's just cable tied on, not particularly great. And then this was what you saw printing earlier. So this is a custom camera bracket that we've printed in-house, and it has a fan attached to it as well. Just another thing to just try and make sure that we keep the uptime as much as we can possibly be. And then, yeah, I kind of touched upon it earlier, like, and I'm sure that a lot of you in this room have probably felt the pain of this, of a device breaks or you need a new device and it's from 2016, you can't just go out to Argos and buy one of those devices, right? So we now have created a Slack bot that goes on every day, sends us messages of like what model year the new devices are coming out, so we can keep an eye on that and keep things in stock of making sure we've got all the different model years, all of the different brands and stuff. So yeah, rather than a customer comes to us and say we want to automate on this, we have to go and find it. We're not reactive anymore. We're preempting that. And yeah, that's one of the new things that we've recently built. And then yeah, back over to you, Matt, I think.
Yeah, so this is kind of where we're at now. The lab hosts 54 different devices, and there's a video in a minute of a walk around which shows you that. We're forever expanding it. So in the video, you'll see there's what looks like more than 53 devices. That's because there's 23 in there for expansion, and there's some more shelving in there that could fit even more in them. We've added more and more projects. Obviously, the agency that works alongside this is growing and adding more customers. And as new customers come into FX, they have to be automated on. So that's great. And then we've also been working with other customers that we don't build their applications for to test in this lab as well. So it is forever growing. If you pop to the next slide, mate. It's just kind of the high-level stats again. So the similar slide I showed you earlier was this time last year when we did a presentation more focused on the software behind all of this. But this is where we're at now. So as I mentioned, 46 total devices being tested, and they're running automation every night for our customers so that the QA team can come in the next day and see those results. We're saving more and more QA days every month, and the test cases that we're running every month is increasing constantly. And this is that video. So as you can see, this is kind of the back of the lab. At the far end there, you've got that glass wall that we've been talking about that you see as soon as you come in. You can see the desks of the office on the other side of it. I actually sit there. And then this trunking around the edge here, you can see is what Martin spoke about previously. And all these TVs in here, this rack here will be dedicated to probably 3 or 4 different clients. This down here is probably space for expansion. On the right here, Martin, I think they're new devices for upcoming clients.
Storage at the moment, but yeah, they will be for...
And then that's the rack of set-top boxes along the right-hand side there, which are obviously way more compact and able to keep on those shelves. Don't know, Martin, if there's anything to add. You might be able to see the air conditioning if you look up. And this is our 3D printer in the corner here. Yeah, there's lots going on in there, and it's forever changing. I go away to conferences every now and I feel like I come back and something new's been added to the lab. It's quite exciting.
Yeah, I think when we first moved into this office, actually, we thought, like, so much bigger than our last lab. Like, there's no way we're gonna outgrow this. And then, like, within a few months, it's like...
Well, that was less than 9 months ago.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's taken us less than 9 months to be at the point now where we're nearly at capacity with this office and this space. And I think the future thinking now is is it worthwhile us keeping the lab in London, or should we move it to a more affordable space? Could we be in a position whereby we deploy labs closer to a client location if they want to be able to come in and check on what's going on? So I think on the next slide, Martin, we talk about a few more of the future ideas that you've got. Yeah,
definitely. I mean, you can see how much we've done in the last year, but we're certainly not going to pause on that. We're going to continue pushing forward and doing more and more with our test and automation lab. But also, yeah, like Matt mentioned, like the potential for adding labs to client sites as well. It doesn't necessarily have to be on our site. We're doing lots of R&D work in terms of prominence testing. So prominence is if you open up your Samsung app menu and you see what apps are there first when you switch it on. That people pay quite a lot of money to get apps in that area. So we're developing some tools for testing the prominence. Yeah, like Matt mentioned, we're definitely looking at a second space. Probably the second one won't be in London, I guess, because of the cost and because it doesn't necessarily need to be. Access for clients to our devices. So we've got a lot of devices in there, more going in all the time. So, you know, rather than maybe some of you thinking that this sounds like too much pain, if it does, then you can access the devices in our lab. We're also making some of our APIs available. So we know that not everyone necessarily wants to completely outsource automation. Maybe you want to build your own automation framework. If you want to go down the vision route, definitely the most difficult part is that vision aspect, and we've got that available for customers. So yeah, if you want to demo account of that, come give me a shout afterwards. Happy to help you out there. And then sharing our frameworks as well. So giving back to the community, I think that would be really cool for other people to be able to use it as well. So yeah.
Cool. Over to you, mate.
And then I wasn't sure who did this last slide.
Yeah, we divvied up all the rest but this last one.
I mean, if you want any help doing any of this stuff that you've seen today, or you just want to chat about automation, because I love it a bit too much and I'm happy just to talk to you about it. So yeah, give me a shout. Scan the QR code there and you can sign up, and we'll email you some stuff across. Yeah. But yeah, that's about it, I think.
Yeah, cheers for listening, and just a massive shout out to Martin for developing us over the 4 years. Like, hugely thankful and grateful to him and his team. It's been awesome to see it and witness it from afar. It's really impressive.
Cheers, mate. Thank you very much.
All good.